And we are back with some more NFL breakdowns because some things have been going down, especially related to the draft. The Niners, I mean, they move up to number three. Oh boy, Alex, your San Francisco 49ers, especially with what the Jets did, and the Jaguars we already know their pick. The Niners might very well be officially on the clock for the 2021 NFL draft, and we already know who maybe they're targeting, or is it all just a ruse? Also, some Aaron Rodgers comments, a lot of NFL rule changes because this is the time of the year where we bring in the rules committee and vote on the new ones. There's some good ones in here, and there's some ones that we'd like to throw in as well. If you were able to check out our Instagram post at Fourth and Long Radio or on Twitter at Fourth Long Radio, you saw me throwing out my favorite throwback logos and uniforms. So I'm bringing Alex, and we're going to debate this and see who has the best ones. PFF put out a tweet that caused some controversy. Would not be the first time saying that. With the best defensive, right? Oh, when has PFF ever caused controversy? But they put out the best defensive backs in 2010s and left off a very, very, very important name on that list. Then we're going to bring you our buy or sell segment, talking Sam Darnold, Teddy Bridgewater, first round quarterbacks. Are they overrated? Penei Sewell, the Lions, possibly trading up, and Trey Lance and Zach Wilson comparisons. But Alex, before we get to things, just want to thank our sponsor, of course, Thrive Fantasy, for all your sports prop betting needs. Go to thrivefantasy.com or download the Thrive Fantasy app on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, because makes things so easy. I mean, I got started with my MLB stuff because we had opening weekend quite recently. And I did pretty good, so I would like to give myself a little pat on the back. Of course, I get a little leeway, though, Alex, because if you use promo code FOURTHLONG, you essentially get free money. If they'll match you from $20 up to $50, so I just had that to play around with. Now, of course, something that you just got on your doorstep, and I'm sure you're super excited to try, especially with your early mornings that are coming up. I know I got to try it, and that is SCG Subs. Is really great kind of pre-workout going on with wild haze. You get swamp juice. It gets the heart pumping without the tingle, which is super nice because honestly the tingle, the little jitters, those can be a little too much sometimes. But they bring that because you get focused, and I know it works because the day I use it, I maxed it. I add 5 pounds to my squat, so I think it's just a given right there. I'm pushing that big way over there in the gym. And really one of the best things why I normally stay away from caffeine, it's the crash. It's the crash. With this, no crash, Alex. So it was fantastic. So go to scgsubs.com because they've extended their holiday buy one, get one free offer. Also go check them out on TikTok and Instagram at scgsubs and get that going today. But Alex, let's get into things properly. With Sam Darnold being traded to the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers, we thought they were going to trade for Deshaun Watson. There's a lot of talks about that. Who knows if anyone's traded for Deshaun Watson at this point. But the Jets, in return, they get a 2021 6th-rounder and a 2022 2nd and 4th. What do you think about this trade, and who are the biggest winners and losers coming out of this news?
Just to piggyback off of your SCG subs, how cool is it to walk into a gym? They see you putting up, your +5 max on the bench, on the squat, whatever you're doing that day.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, dude, like, how are you doing this max right now? You're lifting some serious iron. They're like, oh, I'm on some swamp juice. Like, how cool is that? Just to say, like,
Right?
I'm on swamp juice. Like, everyone just like looks around and is like, oh my God, this dude is legit. So yeah, go check them out. They just showed up on my doorstep. I cannot wait to go test it out at the gym and maybe add a little extra weight to my maxes. But yeah, this Sam Darnold trade, I think it does two things. I think it first completely solidifies the Jets. They're going to take Zach Wilson. There's talk about the Eagles trying to maybe jump up to 2 to draft Zach Wilson with their new extra first from that trade down. But I don't think that the Jets would part ways with Zach Wilson anytime soon. So it takes them out of it just completely solidifies Zach Wilson at number 2. I think it also takes the Panthers out of the quarterback market. They were Deshaun talk, they were Russell talk, they were trade up to 4 talk, they were all these things, and I think they are going to either solidify themselves at that number 8, get some offensive weaponry help after they lost Curtis Samuel, or their prime spot if one of those quarterbacks drops to their spot for someone else that we're not thinking about to jump up and take one of those quarterbacks. So I think it did those two things. As far as biggest winners and losers,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to gauge because it's I think the only thing that you can look at from the Jets side is they're completely washing their hands with Sam Darnold. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever they can get from it is, gaining assets. Sam Darnold was a dead asset to them, wasn't dead asset to someone else. So getting whatever you can for a quarterback that's been there for 3 years already, clearly is not the guy. They gave it 3 years. They did what they could. It's clear that he's not the guy that they want to move forward with someone else. So they got 3 picks. Nothing this year besides that 6th-rounder. So I can't say that they're losers. Do I think they could have got more?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, but this late in the offseason, especially when all the quarterback market kind of shaken out already, I think that was the best they were going to be able to get. And they diversified themselves, and they have Panthers picks, which I think going forward, that 2nd-round pick next year and that 4th-rounder are going to be towards the top of the draft order. So I kind of like what the Jets did. I don't really understand the Panthers because if you're taking a flyer on a guy, I get it, but you don't give up 3 picks for a flyer on a guy that's going into his 4th year that has none of his metrics, none of his advanced stats, none of the eye test, nothing looks good so far. And you can say weapons, you can say offensive philosophy, you can say offensive line.
You can just
But
say Adam Gase.
yeah, you can say all those things, but still, like, just from just a pure football talent standpoint, Sam Darnold, I don't see how you can be so drawn to him over another guy in the draft, over maybe waiting another year. I know the quarterback market next year in the draft is not great, but I don't see this. I see this as a lateral move from Teddy Bridgewater.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why you're giving up assets to get Sam Darnold. There's maybe a 1 in 100 shot he becomes, he lives up to where he got drafted in 2018, but I just don't see that happening. So I think this is a slight win for the Jets. Don't really see anything positive for the Panthers other than they get to put a new guy on marketing and they can say that they got the 3rd overall pick added to that offensive room. But I don't see it.
The Panthers put out a couple good memes after acquiring Sam Darnold, so that was probably the biggest plus. I think the biggest winner here is it's going to be Sam Darnold because
it's probably Sam Darnold, right?
He gets out of an awful situation. He goes from Adam Gase and nothing, and I think it's talked about a lot, but sometimes overlooked in this. He gets to go from a huge market like New York is, where they have 30 reporters just for the Jets alone. And he's able to go to the Carolina Panthers, a good team that's well known and has a good base out there in Charlotte. But it's nothing like New York. It gives him a little more ability to develop.
And it's also a younger team. It fits his timeline better.
Also, I just like what they have going down there with the philosophy in Carolina. It's a good move for him. For the Jets, obviously, you're the biggest loser. Even though you're able to turn, essentially what you did, you took a 3rd-rounder, you took a 3rd-round draft pick, and that you turned that draft pick into 3 awful losing seasons and a 6th-rounder and a 2nd and 4th-rounder.
Yeah.
The Valley doesn't. It's not equivalent. It's not equivalent.
No, I get you. It's not equivalent, but you still have to look at it from their perspective. I mean, they were able to dump they gave Sam Darnold a chance for 3 years. They evaluated him, and he's now clearly like nothing to them, and they still managed to get 3 picks. So yeah,
that's fair.
Like in a vacuum, you look at Sam Darnold, number 3 overall, ahead of 3 other quarterbacks, 2 of them significantly better than him, over other guys in the draft that were extremely impactful. Another guy I'll talk about coming up, but they were able to get 3 picks for a dead asset. Like, you can't look at that as a loss for the Jets in the moment. Overall, huge loss for the Jets. They completely squandered a top 3 pick, and they lost for 3 years because of it. But they still were able to recoup some of the value, and now they're drafting number 2 again.
Yeah. So, hey, maybe Zach Wilson works out this time. It can't be much worse than what happened with this whole Sam Darnold experience. Then another team that's going to be right behind the Jets, like we said, is your San Francisco 49ers after having a big-time trade-up for this spot. And the rumor is, and maybe not less a rumor, more just a report, is that it's going to be Mac Jones with that pick. First off, a couple questions to ask you. With assuming it's going to be Mac Jones, is he worth this kind of hype?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
Why is he getting this kind of hype? And Alex, the question is this all just a ruse? Because
Yes,
Nick
it
Saban
is.
said that John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, didn't even ask about Mac Jones. Are the Niners playing this perfectly, or are they just going to get Justin Fields instead?
So here's the thing. I think it is a ruse because this has been shown in the Lynch Shanahan era that they love to throw out smoke screens. They love to deceive people because they're looked at objectively as a very knowledgeable duo, as a very competent front office.
One of the better GM head coaches duo in the league, hands down.
Yeah, so I think they're looked at, they're highly revered. So people are going to look at what they're trying to do and they're going to automatically take more weight into it because of who is talking. So I think they've shown in the past that they love throwing out smoke screens. They love saying, we're going to this, we're going to this pro day, we're going to this meeting, we have this guy coming in. And a lot of the times it's just a smoke screen because they have so many people that are looking at them for, guidance.
Mm-hmm.
And to answer your first question, do I think he's worth the third pick? Absolutely not. Do I think he's worth a trade up to the third pick? Even more, no. Because if he's not there at 12, which I still think at 12, if all four quarterbacks go ahead of him, that's still too high for Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones is very limited in his capabilities. I understand completely everyone's saying he's has elite accuracy, elite knowledge of the game, elite football IQ, decent pocket mobility, but a 1-year starter at a very, very illustrious season coming off of what we've seen Tua do in the NFL, which was next to nothing. And it was clear that he couldn't handle a dense playbook and a lot of things thrown at him in the first year in the NFL season. So that worries me a little bit about Mac Jones. And he's just athletically, he's just so limited compared to the other two options that you have. I just see no way you can warrant trading up, burning 2 future first rounders, 2022, 2023, and a third this year or a third next year, all to get a guy who just has such a lower ceiling than Fields and Lance combined. I mean, I would be shocked, devastated, and completely perplexed if they made this move to get Mac Jones. And the biggest issue that I'm having right now is I can handle all the media and all the mock drafts having Mac Jones go to 3 because I can see it as a smokescreen. What really is bothering me is Vegas right now is really leaning into this Mac Jones at 3. They have it at like minus 250 odds, meaning he's, about.
Hey, bet Justin Fields then is what you're saying, right?
It sucks. It's like Vegas is almost never wrong with this stuff, and they're completely leaning into all this, and it's worrying the crap out of me because if we get Mac Jones and we have to pay that kind of price, I just don't understand. Like, you could have easily just gone out and traded for Kirk Cousins and maybe had a first, maybe a couple Sam Darnold picks, all those things. You just could have done so many different things. If Mac Jones is your target, I just don't understand how you can warrant moving up 9 spots to get him there.
What this is kind of worrying to me, to be honest, because Mac Jones, he's okay, solid quarterback. If you give him the second round, that's great value. If you give him top 3 over guys like Trey Lance, over other guys like Justin Fields, I don't understand it, man.
Disaster.
What this is seeming kind of shaping to be, let's throw it back to April 14th, 2016, before this draft, because that is when the Rams traded everything for the second overall pick in the draft for Jared Goff. They traded everything, 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, a third-round pick, a 2017 first-round pick, and a 2017 third-round pick to the Titans, and that was for number 1 overall. Still, man, that was awful. That was awful.
They're very similar prospects coming out of college. Very similar.
One of the worst trades that has gone down by far in recent history. And especially if we'll take a look later when we get to the buy or sell segment, when we talk about top 3 draft pick in quarterbacks, it's not looking good. The history is not there. And Mac Jones he's not there. If they trade up and get Justin Fields, Cool. But I don't
I mean,
like the move.
also just to bolster that point even
Yeah.
more, look at I mean, in that same draft, that 2016 draft, two different teams traded up for quarterbacks,
And you get Carson
Carson
Wentz and
Wentz and Jared Goff. When you look at Jared Goff, so Jared Goff and Carson Wentz, I would say throughout their careers, they probably had very similar team success
mm-hmm.
through their first 4 years. Carson Wentz's ceiling was a little higher and his
Mm-hmm.
floor was a little lower. But if you look at just what did they have to trade or what did they get in return for these two quarterbacks? You traded Carson Wentz and that big contract. You got back a second conditional, which will probably end up being a first and a
Mm-hmm.
third. When they traded Jared Goff, they had to add first round picks to
That's
get rid of his contract. How egregious of an error is that if you're a front office that you have to attach picks that you traded
mm-hmm.
to get this guy and paid him a boatload of money and now are eating his contract?
At
It's a
least for the Eagles.
disgusting,
At least
disgusting
for
over.
the Eagles, who traded up for a Super Bowl champion for a quarterback. Technically,
I mean, you can attribute a lot of their success that year to Carson Wentz.
yes,
I don't think
yeah,
that's unfair.
a lot more. I mean, Carson Wentz is a ceiling raiser. Jared Goff at best is a floor raiser, and that is that. And then one thing, sticking with quarterbacks, is most recently on his appearance on the Pat McAfee show. Not the only appearance he's making, because Aaron Rodgers, fantastic on Jeopardy, especially that one contestant asking about who decided to kick that field goal. Aaron
I
Rodgers took.
loved that. That was awesome.
That was amazing. So Aaron Rodgers has been killing it at Jeopardy, which has been fun to watch. I still can't wait to see him just roast these nerds getting sports questions wrong, as it always seemingly happens in Jeopardy. But he came out in his interview. He kind of had the quote where he's saying, "A lot of my future is out of my control." And there's just a certain feeling to the way he was talking, where he just doesn't know, and almost like don't know if he even wants to be there. And so this seems like we're revisiting a storyline that we had in the beginning of last season, where it's like, oh, is he going to be traded? Oh, is he leaving? And all this stuff, of course, it never really materialized into anything. But are we going to put more weight into it this season, or are we just being fools again?
So, and honestly, I absolutely love the Pat McAfee show. I think he's hilarious, and
Mm-hmm.
the amount of headlines that I've seen just of like
Every
different
day.
reporters, other people like so and so, huge story says on Pat McAfee show. Like he gets the most controversial things out of his guests.
I
I
love it.
absolutely love it. Yeah, he's but I mean, I think this is just kind of Aaron Rodgers' thing. This is just his MO. Like this is
Mm.
absolutely how he loves to operate in the offseason. He is the definition of a diva. I think he loves having stories about him. I think he has this aura like of, oh, I'm this nonchalant, like nothing really like phases me kind of guy. He's got those big bags under his eyes, so he looks like he's always relaxed and he looks way older than he is. But we know just from how many, stories we hear, anecdotes, that Aaron Rodgers is spiteful, he's vengeful, he is he just holds on to grudges for so long. And if
Right.
he remembers if a team drafted a quarterback in the first round, he remembers if someone spited him on a talk show.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that until they give him this guaranteed, you are the quarterback for the rest of your career in Green Bay, until he gets that contract, he's going to be saying these things all the time, because I think this is what he genuinely believes. I think he's just kind of taken this mindset of, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I'm just going to go with it. Like, they clearly don't have allegiance to me. And that was all stemming from Jordan Love. And I just think that's one of those things where no matter what they say or do, unless they give him that lifetime contract and that guarantee that he's going to be there until he wants to, and he's now in control,
Mm-hmm.
he's never going to have that sense of security that he did before they drafted Jordan Love. So, I think he is, he's kind of revisiting a lot of the same things that you said from last year, but, I don't see any scenario where he's not the starting quarterback next year. And
Mm-hmm.
moving forward, it's all going to depend on, can he continue to put up these seasons? Because they have a very, very easy out, and they can trade him. They can do anything they need to, and Jordan Love can step in. But until they either trade Jordan Love, give him that lifetime contract, I think he's going to be very stuck in his demeanor of this, like, I don't know where I'm going to be. It's uncertainty. So I think this is just kind of his thing now.
I think he's doing the right thing, though. If you want to keep people talking, is a way to at least make the Packers front office kind of worried. Hey, this guy might leave. Hey, we might have to give this guy more money if he wants to keep driving up that contract price.
Yeah.
This is just marketing
Just
101,
maintaining leverage.
right? It's not letting the Packers get anything over on him. He's just
Yeah.
doing the smart thing. He's doing the vet thing, and he's keeping them on their toes. He knows exactly what he's going to do. I mean, come on. This is all a smokescreen, kind of what the Niners are doing with the draft. This is a smokescreen. Aaron Rodgers knows what he's doing, and that even if he's on the Green Bay, no big deal for him. He's just going to be an MVP somewhere else, possibly with
Exactly.
better weapons. So it's no big deal. I really think that this is going to play out like last year, where it's just a big old nothing. But it's always fun to talk about. It keeps offseason a little more spicier.
Exactly. I mean, this is just again, this is Aaron Rodgers. He loves seeing his name in the headlines, and I mean, at this point, he knows when he goes on Pat McAfee's show and he says something controversial, people are going to talk about it. So
Well, he's
it's
on
not
there
like he's
weekly
not
too,
doing it on purpose.
right?
No.
I find it highly entertaining, and I love it. I think it's great TV. Now, moving on to the next part of the show, we're going to talk some possible rule changes that have been proposed to the committee. And one of the first ones, it's not like a huge one for gameplay, but it's still exciting nonetheless because we might actually be changing number rules and be able to get almost like what we got in college, because what they're expecting to loosen up the rules around numbers, and this is something that's actually been expected to be voted into existence. So what it is currently, 1 through 9 are only allowed for quarterbacks and kickers. Receivers are 10 to 19. Normally like linemen or it's going to stay about the same range. But what's cool is that so offensive and defensive linemen going to stay the same. Linebackers 1 through 59 or 9 to 99. And then we're going to get stuff like kickers, running backs, almost in pretty much anything they can. It's almost any number that they can get. We can see guys return to the college numbers. We see receivers return to the college numbers. This isn't really going to affect gameplay, but I think this is something fun that might spice things up again. I really don't see a reason to not, because if anything, the NFL can just sell more jerseys because they have to make new ones, and then that's just more money in their pockets. So it makes no sense to not go forward with this. Also, I do want to see. Imagine you can do any number, so you see a big old defensive lineman at number 1.
Come on, Ross. You took my biggest point here. I mean, my favorite thing in college is big men single digit numbers. I mean, the amount of times I don't think I was looking it up, and I don't know if defensive linemen are eligible for the single digit numbers, but what is eligible for single digit numbers are linebackers, and linebacker is a very broad term in the
Right.
NFL. So you could have guys like Von Miller and Bradley Chubb rocking number 1. You could have
Oh,
oh my gosh, TJ Watt wearing number like 7 or 2 coming off the edge or something like that. Just like things that are just nasty. I mean, Jadeveon Clowney, he's for sure going to go back to his single digit number. I mean,
yeah.
I don't see how this is at all could be negatively viewed. It's not like one of those things where you have, the old heads in baseball saying like, oh, we can't change the game. We cannot change America's pastime. And you don't have those people in football, because it's like everyone who's a fan right now, like all they want is to see the game be more entertaining. And what's more entertaining than seeing a big guy in a single digit number running around trying to make tackles? And I just absolutely love that. So I can't be more excited for that possibility.
Can I give you a mental image? We're unfortunately
Yeah,
never going to see it
please.
play out, but go back to this. Vince Wilfork, number 1.
I mean, just not a lot of number to cover up that big belly. That would be unreal, Ross. We needed that. We needed that a lot. Maybe
If we had Vince Wilfork number
who's the
1,
biggest
2020
defensive
would
lineman these days?
Oh,
Vita Vea?
Vita
Just
Vea
like
might
from
be up there.
a mass
I mean, he's a
standpoint.
Samoan, so he has to be up there. Those dudes are big, and those are always the worst ones to play against because there's some big old strong boys. Oh,
Yep.
damn. Oh, give us. Okay, Alex, even better, even better. Larry Allen, number 2.
I mean, can you imagine Quentin Nelson road grading people as number 5 from the left guard? I mean, are you kidding?
Dude, we got so
For
much
the
fun
for
with
the
this.
amount of teams that passed him up in the draft.
Oh, that'd be perfect. And I really
That would
just want to
be
say we could play this game all day. I want to know, give us your best combos of
yes.
big men with low numbers because I want to see what you're able to come up with. Whether it be on hit us up on Instagram at Fourth and Long Radio or Twitter at Fourth and Long or Fourth Long Radio because that is going to be some fantastic stuff. Next up, we have some changes to the onside kicking and such. So right now, the rule is, we see it's called the setup zone. So when you see those two layers of, or those two lines of four people kind of staggered, that's where you kick the ball to. That's where you try to fight over this football that you almost never actually are able to get. Right now,
Unless you're Young Hui
unless you're and then you're the greatest onside kicker of all time, hands down.
then you hate these rules.
Yeah, right? It's going to take away from your legacy. It is the greatest onside kicker to ever live. Because instead of the rule of just only 8 in most, they're talking about maybe 9 out of the 11 players being able to be in that setup zone with making recovering kicks a lot easier. The extra man is going to be a huge bonus to that setup zone. Do you think this passes? Do we think we need this rule?
I think we definitely need it because the amount of times you heard so many announcers and so many fans say, "Oh, it doesn't matter how many we're down by because we're not going to be able to get an onside kick anyway." So I think it just like it gives people a bigger sense of hope if you're down in the fourth quarter of a football game, which I think from the NFL standpoint, it helps viewership, it helps ratings, it helps just maintain people from flipping the game off with 8 minutes to go because you think it's over because it's a 2-possession game or a 3-possession game with the other team driving. So I really just don't see this affecting anything massively because it might give you 3 to 4 more onside kicks a year and maybe one of those is impactful. So I don't think this is going to be too different from a gameplay standpoint, but I think it's going to immensely help viewership. It's just gonna give people that are down more of a sense of hope that they can get back in the game. So it'll end up evening out. There'll be multiple times where you feel like your team gets screwed by this rule, and then you end up utilizing it. Just like with any rule change, it always is going to even out in the end. So making things more fun, making games closer, I think is always a good idea.
Or is an alternative. This is a rule that we've been seeing proposed before.
I want this so bad.
You want it. Which is the no onside kick in lieu of a onside kick. Instead, you can go to your own 20, is what I believe it is, and convert attempt to convert a 4th and 15. If you're able to do that, you take the ball at whichever spot on the field you convert at. Is this better than onside? Why do you want to see this, Alex?
I want to see it because I think it's a risk reward thing. So it's also I think you have to penalize them and say if they don't convert that 4th and 15, wherever they lose the ball, that's where the other team takes over. So you could have essentially, if you have an incomplete pass, all of a sudden you have your team sitting in the red zone already. They're on the 20-yard line. So when you don't convert an onside kick, usually you're around the 40-yard line. So you're almost doubling the penalty for not converting it. It gives offenses a chance. It is going to take a little bit of, it's going to take a little bit of time to adjust to what a 4th and 15 play really looks like. Like how are defenses going to adjust to this? Are they going to play it like it's an end of game scenario? Are they going to play it straight up? Are they going to be more conservative? Are they looking, if you're down and you have that opportunity, all you need now is 1 second left on the clock, and you're still in the game.
Well, let's talk about that defensively is because you have to choose. There's one answer where it might be obvious. Oh, yeah, we're just going to play the 6. We're going to deny them the first down. But the problem is you play the 6, and a defender gets past the 6. They could just score right there, in which is their intended purpose anyway. So that's a tough one. That'd be a tough one to call.
I think it adds a ton of nuance to the game. I would love it if they did it.
I'd be okay with that, to be honest. If this was a thing, we might get teams, with Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers where, hell, they'll just air the ball out. But also, like you mentioned, if you don't convert, the team is already almost guaranteed 3 points that you fail to convert against. And then there's a really good chance that they get a touchdown from that. So, I like this rule. I'm not sure if it passes, but I think the whole 9 men in the sub zone has a better chance of passing because it's a step in that direction, but not as big of a step. They might take this and then maybe next year look at this rule change again and then go with it, depending on how the 9 man sub zone works. But I would like to see this incorporated into our NFL games. Then one of the last main rule changes that are being proposed is a change to the penalty for the illegal double forward pass. Right now, if you throw 2 forward passes in one play, it is not like the XFL where you can do the double forward pass, which is fantastic. Can't wait for 2022. Bring back the XFL. Long live it. XFL never die. Instead, what the Rams are proposing after almost getting burnt by this rule against the Bucs and Tom Brady being the sly dog that he is, instead what they're proposing, instead of a replay the down with a 10-yard penalty, it's a 5-yard penalty with a loss of down. And I think this is a smart way to go about it.
I'm a big fan of every loss of down penalty because you always have, if you're ever in a big group, you always have the guy who's like so knowledgeable about the game that always gives the loss of down right after, and it's like, oh, that guy knows NFL officials. That guy knows officiating. So, anytime
That's
you can
not
get
you?
that loss of down
Unbelievable.
signal, what?
I'm disappointed that's not you, Alex.
Oh, it's all right. It's this, right?
It's behind the head. Behind the
Is it
head.
behind the head? I
Behind the
mean, I
head.
did
You had
that
it right the
first.
first time. You had it right the first
Yeah,
time.
okay. I
Yeah.
was gonna say, I was like, I thought I had that.
No, I
Okay,
just messing with
whatever.
you. It's too easy.
Great radio there.
Right?
But yeah, I mean, I think it's never going to come into play, but it's
Mhm.
one of those things where if it happens in a playoff game, people would be pissed. Like, why don't we change that rule? So I think the NFL is just getting ahead of it a little bit after the Rams almost got, brutally destroyed by this rule. So leave it to the Rams to have to go. I mean, I think it would have only been karma if they would have had it happen to them, after what happened to them in the
Oh.
NFC Championship in 2019. So
Saints fans, hell yeah.
2018. But yeah, I mean, I don't think this is going to come into play very often. I'm going to forget about it after we talk about it, and if it comes up, it'll be something that Tony Correnti or one of the officiating experts that they bring into the booth.
Right.
So
This
give
is
them more material to talk about.
It's a smaller rule, but I would like them to make this change because, like you said, once it comes up, it'll be a great one to have in the back pocket, so we're not running into this whole thing with the Bucs and Rams all over again.
Exactly.
And I would like to throw in, this is not being talked about this year, but I want to throw in the suggestion, something that, if you want to throw back a few years ago, the AAF, the Alliance of American Football, sadly died, but at least we got one hell of a quarterback hit that would probably just get you the death sentence from Roger Goodell if that was in the NFL. Or, of course, the always fantastic XFL, Let's Go Houston Roughnecks, uncrowned champs. Let's talk what they did have. And what they did have was something fantastic, and that was the Sky Judge. This was essentially a referee that was up in the booth, and they were really a part of the officiating crew that was on the field. If they saw a play that they didn't like, or a call they didn't like, or a call that you think they should be reviewed, that Sky Judge has the power to signal down to the head official and going, hey, let's take a look at this, or hey, we need to make this call. And this was something that was not only they did that, but they televised it, and you could hear them, and you could listen, which was one of the better parts about this. I think the NFL should really bring in the Sky Judge, and that would clear up a lot of controversy of what happens on the field. Will they? No, because the NFL is a bunch of cowards and don't like to take blame for poor officiating. But if they want to be transparent, which they should be, if they want to improve their officiating, it would be with Sky Judge.
I'm gonna push back on you pretty heavily here, Ross. I think one of the most important parts of our game, our beloved National Football League, is you always need someone to blame when your team doesn't win. And the more transparency that we have in officiating, and the cleaner officiating gets, the more you're just yanking that whole ability to blame the refs out from underneath these tortured fan bases. So, I completely disagree with you there. I think we should go back to replacement refs. Go back to a more a simpler time when Aaron Rodgers was throwing Hail Marys, or who was that? It was that week 4 that Hail Mary. I thought it was the Packers
Hmm.
Seahawks maybe. Um,
Oh, the
with the
fail
Hail Mary.
Mary.
What was
The
that? Was that Packers
fail
Seahawks?
Mary. That was Packers Seahawks on Monday Night Football in Seattle.
What an absolute nightmare of a play.
Oh, why'd you have to bring that up?
Because I thought it was hilarious when I
I
watched
thought I
it, and
forgot about it.
I mean that was the biggest news story coming out of week 4 of whatever year that was that play and the refs. And if you have transparency, you completely yank that away from everyone. So no, I don't want a sky judge. I want to be able to blame a ref if I need to. So
Alex,
absolutely not.
September 24th, 2012.
Simpler
It was
time.
2000.
Simpler time.
Okay, hold up.
Crazy.
2012? It was in 2000. That feels like it was only a few seasons ago.
I mean, that shows you how elite Aaron Rodgers has been since
Where,
for that long of time.
where is time
Was
going,
Russell Wilson the
Alex?
quarterback then too?
Russell Wilson was the quarterback, yeah.
Wow,
Where is time going?
crazy.
Oh, I feel old. I don't like
I,
this, but throw in the sky judge. I don't care what Alex says because
yeah, nah.
just the NFL can't blame its officiating, and we can't blame our own teams for the losses. Such is the what happens. Such is the life of being a
The American way.
Hey, no better way than the American way, baby. They hate us because they ain't us. Now, another thing that we were talking about over on the Instagram, like I was saying at the beginning of the show, is the best throwback logo and or uniform. And I gave out 3 teams over on the Twitter and the Instagram, and that was number 1, the Broncos and that D logo with the Broncos snorting the steam out of its nose. That is so good. And they have it on the Color Rush jerseys on the helmets, but it's still not that nice royal blue or that nice kind of lighter blue that it really should be. Because it's stupid, Alex. Because we had this rule for no reason saying, "Oh, you can only have one helmet." I don't know what the NFL is doing there. Change that rule. I'm gonna put down the NFL rule changes. Let's have multiple helmets because why the hell not? Like, who's it hurting? If anything, the NFL is gonna make more money off of being able to sell that kind of stuff. The Patriots with the Patriot Pete, the guy, the Patriot playing center, those nice red uniforms that really pop. Oh, I'm a sucker for those, even though I hate the Patriots. I still love those uniforms. Then the always classic, always style, super styled. Warren Moon's very favorite light blue Oilers logo.
Oilers.
Oh, the Oilers. Those are my 3 favorite ones. Of course, there's plenty more because Alex, you have some of your own. Man, but those 3.
I mean, I agree with you. I absolutely love the Oilers. I love the Broncos. Patriots, great logo too, just because of the iconic Pete there. There's a lot of really good logos back then, but 2 of them that really stick out in my mind. One for a selfish reason. I got to go back to the retro Niners because it just reminds you of the Bill Walsh, Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, Steve Young, all these guys, Roger Craig.
We could go back.
Dwight Clark, the catch, all these different things, and you had that iconic gold helmet. The gold. It just everything that you think of when you think of dominant Niners football in the 80s and 90s is that gold helmet with the red. And the gold trim on all the lettering. So I absolutely love those throwback uniforms and logos. And the other one I like is actually the Dolphins because I remember when I was a kid, I was looking at all these different logos, and the first one that caught my eye was the logo of a dolphin wearing a helmet, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the best thing I've ever seen! Like, I want that." And that was like the first helmet or the first jersey I ever got was a Dolphins because I love this.
You got a Dolphins jersey?
I did, and I actually when I was in elementary school, my dad used to take me and a couple buddies to the celebrity tournament up in Reno, Nevada, or South Lake Tahoe.
Yeah,
in July.
Yeah,
and the first year I ever
been there
went,
before. Fantastic tournament. Saw a lot of great guys. Saw Terrell Davis. Terrell Davis was juiced. And then Aaron Rodgers almost won the whole thing.
First 2 years I went.
Yeah. Fantastic tournament.
So,
I would recommend trying to go out there if you have the chance.
I would too. Incredible. Yeah, I cannot recommend it more. Also, on a lighter note, where Ben Roethlisberger was accused of a few things. That same tournament in one of those hotels there. So
that's the place. You were there.
That is the place.
Was it the same year?
That is the place. So it is.
Were you there the same year they got accused?
I don't know if I was. I actually
Oh,
might have been there one of those years. I mean, I was 9 or 10 when I went. So
my,
I don't remember the
my
exact.
favorite guys I went a few years back saw was Terrell Davis, Aaron Rodgers was there. Oh, I got
Yep.
snubbed
Tony
by
Romo,
I
Steph
got snubbed by
Curry.
Case Keenum when he went to the Broncos. It was
Really?
great, yeah. Larry Fitzgerald, great guy out there.
Oh yeah.
Jared Allen, oh that's a big beefy
Yep.
boy.
Jerry
That's
Rice is out there.
oh,
Ton
you
of
saw
hockey
so many
players.
great faces. Oh,
There was
it
some
was
there were some fighters. I think Chuck Liddell was out there, Tito Ortiz.
oh no.
Just I mean, horrible golfers, but they love people out there.
And let's be fair, I did not go to that tournament for golf. I didn't watch golf. I just went to see the people.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
Right.
I mean, they love it. I mean, everyone should just either watch that on TV this year or go out there because it is an
Oh
incredible
yeah.
time. But
Well, you went. So your first jersey was Dolphins jersey. My first one was a extreme, like I think 3 sizes too big, Champ Bailey jersey.
wow.
Oh man, I
Well, I
waited.
actually might have. I might have Champ Bailey's autograph from that year. I might have to go
Oh,
dig it
you
up.
lucky bastard.
I know.
I
But
wore that jersey. Yeah.
what I was saying on that was, well, Dan Marino. The first year I ever went,
Uh huh.
everyone was getting snubbed by Dan Marino. Like he was kind of like
Really.
this. He was kind of like this snob. Like he wasn't really trying to have autographs for everyone. Like after they finished every hole, like people would just mob him, and they would like
Hmm.
mob everyone that came in. And I finally was like, you know what? Like why not? I'm gonna try something. And I'm like, after Dan shuts everyone down, he almost gets to his tee box. I'm like, Dan, excuse me, Mr. Marino, like it's my birthday today, like it's my 10th birthday, you're my favorite
Pulled the
player, like
birthday.
all this stuff. I pulled it, and there's people around me, and people are like, oh my gosh, like come on, Dan. And Dan like looks around, and he pulls me into like this tent, like just enclosed off from
Uh huh.
everyone else, so no one can see that you signing. He's like, what do you have to sign? And I was like, can you please just sign my book, Mr. Marino? And he signs my book,
Was
and
it
he tells me
autograph
to like
book?
go out the back door, and it was incredible.
Was it like an autograph book or something?
Yeah, it was like an autograph. It was like the program from it. So I have a ton of
Oh, that's
autographs in there, and Dan Marino's on there.
damn, dude.
Yeah,
Look
no, it
at
was pretty.
you, Alex.
I know that was where my sales history comes into play. I just sell to Dan
That's
Marino
where
that
it started.
I was this special 10-year-old kid that needed an autograph from
Then
him.
what Alex does today? Hey, you buy this thing. It's my birthday, so you have to buy it. Use
Yeah,
it.
I have a ton of birthdays every single year.
The tried and true technique. Alex, in terms of birthdays, he is 233 years old today. So congrats, Alex, you're officially the oldest man on Earth. Oh man, that I love the story. Got a little derailed with our topic, but that's the way
Yeah,
things go.
sorry. Who were we talking about?
We're talking great throwbacks. So, I want to know if you guys have a story like that. Would love to hear it. Alex, I'm shocked for how long we've known each other. You've not said that story, so it was that's awesome to hear.
It's yeah.
Damn, Rito.
I was waiting for the podcast to release it to everyone.
Of course, we were playing this years in advance, without a doubt, because that's just what we do. But if we want to speak about Champ Bailey, still, I said the two words right there. We're going back to that PFF tweet that had a lot of controversy. I know you're going to put 4 pictures on the tweet, but man, this guy should have been one of those 4. That PFF tweet said, "Who is the best defensive back from the 2010s?" They had a very respectable group of 4, which was Richard Sherman, Charles Woodson, Darrell Revis, and Ed Reed. But you want to know who they didn't have on that list? They didn't have one of the most easily forgotten and one of the most defensive backs to ever grace the NFL gridiron, and that is none other than Champ frickin' Bailey. And
Okay, I'm gonna stop you right here, Ross. Everyone does this every year with lists with all-star selections. Take someone off. Who are you taking off?
take
You
out
have
the.
to take someone off if you're gonna make this
This
argument.
is an easy one for me to take off. I'm not even lying. Richard Sherman, hands down. Champ Bailey is hands down leaps and bounds better than Richard Sherman. It's Champ Bailey, it's Charles Woodson, Darrell Revis, and Ed Reed, and it's not close. To quote you, I'll take your phrase for that one.
I mean, yeah, I think you're splitting hairs at that point. Honestly, I think, I mean, Richard Sherman. So at their peak, who
Mm-hmm.
was better? I think Richard Sherman's ceiling was higher than Champ Bailey's. I
Mm-hmm.
think Champ Bailey had it for a longer career and maybe had less of a supporting cast as far as like the safeties and just the
Oh, yeah,
defensive scheme
nothing.
overall. So I mean, I'll give it to you there, but I don't know. I think it just comes down to the market. You know, everyone knows Richard Sherman. Everyone knows the Legion of Boom. That was a dominant defense. So I
Richard
think
Sherman wasn't even
just,
the leader of that Legion Boom. That was a problem because the real leader of that group was Cam
Earl
Chancellor.
Thomas. Earl Thomas, what are you talking about?
Cam Chancellor.
No.
Yes, he was the leader of that group. But also, and I mean, the Legion Boom. Oh man, it, one of the greatest defenses to only win one Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that they went to two and they had like a pretty, and the fact that Richard Sherman's still around, like that's the
Yeah.
one name that is still active in that list right now. So, I mean, maybe they should have just done top five and just included all of them.
Right, and then it's not good. Then you can't find pictures on a tweet, which is the problem with that one. But Champ Bailey, I might say it because I'm a homer, but I really do feel like he is one of the more underrated and easily forgotten about names when it comes to talking about dominant players during the 2010s. And that's just another reason why I was devastated that the Broncos lost to the Seahawks in Super Bowl 48 because that just meant that Champ Bailey never got a Super Bowl. But I digress on that one. I just felt like we need to
Also, Champ Bailey never won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I just said that, Alex. Thank you very much.
I know, but I'm just reiterating to everyone else just to let them know.
You are you're a bastard, Alex. But thanks for rubbing it in.
What it comes down to.
Is that what it comes down to?
Yeah, because you guys won one a couple years later after you retired, so
yeah.
You can't be too.
Unfortunately, he still got that golden jacket, so it's okay at the end of the day. And as we get closer to the end of the show, you all know what time it is. It's time for one of the best segments to ever grace the industry of sports talk shows, and that is our buy or sell segment. And Alex, you want to know what we're going to do?
Run it.
Let's go, watch it. We want the ball, we're going to score.
Tell them to bring me my money. Yeah!
Dollar bills, y'all.
So we buying or are we selling? All right, this is our buy or sell segment. Of course, those that don't know how this works, what are you doing? You should have been listening a while ago, but also we thank you so much for joining us. So we give you 5 statements, and it's up to you of whether you're going to buy this statement or you're going to sell it. And the first one goes back to one of the storylines that we talked at the very beginning of the show, and that was Sam Darnold getting traded to Carolina. And Alex, one of the things you said is that this was almost a lateral kind of movement with Sam Darnold and Teddy Bridgewater. So, even with that being said, the first statement is that Sam Darnold is better than Teddy Bridgewater.
So, I talked about it a little bit earlier. I don't want to take too much time on it because I think it's a boring topic when we're talking about 2 below average quarterbacks.
You mean the 2 most dynamic quarterbacks in the league?
I mean, come on. It's just like you go into it. I mean, it's like having Mitchell Trubisky and Nick Foles in your quarterback room. It's just really underwhelming. But I'm gonna actually buy this statement because I think the only thing that you can say is, since Ryan Tannehill did it, maybe Sam Darnold can be that next guy. And we've already done this.
Escape Adam Gase, go to a different team, and then become a MVP candidate.
Yeah. So I mean, there's at least a 1% chance of that happening. I think it's already been established that there's a 0% chance with Teddy Bridgewater. So I'll buy it because there's actually some upside, more than 0. So I guess I'll buy it a little bit.
I'm just going to sell it. Yeah, I'm going to sell it just based on the fact of when Teddy Bridgewater is the quarterback of your team, you know what the floor is. That's a very defined floor. That's not a low floor. It's not a high floor. It's just right there in the middle of floors. And you don't really know where your ceiling is. You have a good estimate where it's not the highest, but it's also not the lowest, which is nice with that one. But with Sam Darnold,
I think he's a big 7 and 10 guy. Teddy Bridgewater.
Oh, I hate that so much, Alex.
I know. He'll get you 7 wins because it's like I don't think he's as bad as 6 and 10, but he's definitely not 7 and 9 good. So he's you got to throw in the 17-game season at records. It was. I know, man. You got to get used to it now. We spent all of last season trying to get used to the Las Vegas Raiders, and now we got to get used to a 17-game season. It's a nightmare. Yeah. Now I had to think about my tweet making fun of Sam Darnold because I said that with Zach Taylor, or they're going from 2-14 to 5-12, not 5-11. I almost.
We're going to get through this together. But Sam Darnold's floor, it's low. It's really low. It's so low that you're in the underworld and you're seeing ghosts like Sam Darnold was doing that one fateful night. That's why I would take Teddy Bridgewater, but it's kind of splitting hairs at this point.
It's bad. They're both bad.
They're both not the best. I think it is really safe to say with that one.
I agree.
And now, the next statement of the show is that first-round draft pick quarterbacks are overrated.
I'm going to buy this statement, and this is one of my favorite statements that you brought up because I am going to take you back.
Take us back.
A couple years. Just take you back a couple years to 2018, where, if you don't remember, we had 5 first-round quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, who we just talked about, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, Lamar Jackson. One is really, really good. The other is really, really, really good, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. One is an average starting quarterback, Baker Mayfield. One is a complete bust, Josh Rosen. One is a very, very big bust in Sam Darnold. So at best, you're hitting on 3 out of 5 quarterbacks, 60% chance. And that third guy is someone that almost lost their starting job at the beginning of last year.
Mm-hmm.
So are you overlooking guys like Micah Parsons, like the really, really talented receivers, like a Penei Sewell,
mm-hmm.
like a Gregory Rousseau, or these guys that are just, we've done this before. When you have a very, very talented offensive lineman, 9 times out of 10, that guy's going to become a starter for multiple years and probably make a couple Pro Bowls. And it's not the sexy pick, but it's a pick that leads to winning years. And these quarterbacks, especially with how much the Niners are paying, especially with how much the Dolphins paid, not for the quarterback, obviously, but, they have to go back up and get these guys because, it's just the quarterbacks are being so overvalued and everyone is so obsessed with this. Get a rookie quarterback. You have 4 years, 5 years on their rookie contract to win your Super Bowl. And then when he gets that next contract, you have no way to win. And, just these quarterbacks are so overvalued. It's crazy. So, yeah, I'm going to buy that statement. And I think it's, it's becoming almost an epidemic right now doing NFL GMs. It's crazy.
I don't understand it. Well, historically, it's always been bad because these 5 quarterbacks were all taken in the first round, and they were all some extreme busts. We're talking Matt Leinart. We're talking Johnny Manziel. We're talking Robert Griffin III, although it wasn't his fault. It was the then Redskins, so I can say that word without getting canceled. The then Redskins fall for ruining him and playing with him with a torn ACL in the playoff game for nothing. There was Ryan Leaf, and then there was the greatest bust of all time, a man that was taken first overall, and a man that didn't even watch film and lied about it. It is Jamarcus Russell himself.
And you're not even throwing in guys like EJ Manuel and like guys that drafted in the middle of the first round.
And what about recent guys too? We talked about the 2016
Blake Gabbert, Mitch Trubisky.
Hey, put some respect on the boat. I don't want to hear.
I love Blake Bortles, but Blake Bortles.
Yeah, like come on, the boat. You gotta respect that. We talked about 2016 with Carson Wentz and Jared Goff, busts. And let's talk about the some of these quarterbacks too. Sam Darnold, Mitch Trubisky, so Sam Darnold, I'll just obvious bust. Mitch Trubisky traded up. Jared Goff traded up. Carson Wentz traded up. They're all on different teams.
All bad.
And now the Niners going to draft Mac Jones in number 3.
I know. We need to change topics.
Change topics. No.
Let's talk about some linemen.
So PSA, Alex. Please stop drafting quarterbacks in the first round when you don't need to, because
no, you don't have to not draft quarterbacks in the first round because that's where you get your guys. But just stop drafting all the quarterbacks in the first round.
Let some quarterbacks go to the second round. Damn it!
Yes.
Stop reaching. You see, it's these GMs, Alex. What I know it. So what happened? These GMs, young guys. They're reaching for the cookie jar all the time. They keep reaching up to that second shelf trying to get the cookie jar. And now that's transpired to their draft where they're still reaching. They're still reaching.
I just want to get back to the point where every single year it seemed like it was either a left tackle or a DN that got drafted first overall. Every single year.
And that worked out well.
Gosh.
It's almost like, hey, Penei Sewell should be drafted over Trevor Lawrence.
Yes. A bit, but also like Eric Fisher, first overall pick, right?
Uh-huh.
And people said like, oh, wasn't as great as people thought he was. But you saw how impactful he was in the Super Bowl, and he's been a starter for the last 10 years. That's what you're getting at minimum.
At minimum. And the reason why I bring up those two names, like I just said, Alex, is because that leads us into our third statement of the show.
Wow,
and that is
transition.
Penei. You like that?
It's on fire.
You like that? Oh, it's the SCG subs. It's the Penei Sewell is a more important piece than Trevor Lawrence.
Wow, I absolutely love to sell this statement because Trevor Lawrence is just a one in a decade quarterback. As revered upon as Andrew Luck was, and Andrew Luck, despite his quirks and his early retirement, incredible quarterback. That's what Trevor Lawrence is going to be. He's way more mobile than him. He's big enough. He's got the winning pedigree. He's young enough. Seems like he's an extremely hard worker. He's going to go to a situation where, he's got a good running back. He's got good receivers on the outside. He's got a coach who is completely tethered to Trevor Lawrence. And if Trevor Lawrence does not do well, Urban Meyer is going to be fired very quickly, and he's going to completely regret his decision to go try the NFL. So Trevor Lawrence is still the guy. I love Penei Sewell, but any other quarterback, I'm going to say yes to this, but not Trevor Lawrence.
Urban Meyer has a grayed out because, this season is going well. Oh, I made a bad choice. Heart hurts. I'm going to go home forever. This is... Yeah. Everyone knows this. I was offensive lineman. I'm always going to have offensive lineman or any lineman bias because, damn, they're so important in offensive linemen and defensive linemen win you football games. And I really, really want to buy this statement. If it was against any other quarterback in this draft class, I would hands down be buying this statement. If it was Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance.
I don't know. Maybe not Mac Jones. I don't know. He's going to be pretty good.
It's either, for the Niners, going back to that because we keep do. He has to be Tom Brady or it is a bust. That's essentially what we're going with. But I really want to say, I will always say blanket statement, a very, very, very talented offensive lineman, especially a left tackle, is almost 99.9% of the time going to be more important than that quarterback piece. They're always going to be more important than a skill piece, like, wide receiver, running back, anything defensively, just about. But, Trevor Lawrence, if he's the man that we all think and believe that he's going to be, then yeah, you have to take Trevor Lawrence, but Penei Sewell, he's going to be damn good. And any team that gets him, hopefully the Bengals, because we might see the 4 quarterbacks off the board back to back to back to back. So for the Bengals, and most importantly for Joe Burrow,
they do not need a draft. Do you think, if gun to Joe Burrow's head, does he want Jamar Chase, his old teammate, or Penei Sewell?
He's taking Sewell 10 times out of 10.
100%, right?
It's not close.
100%.
It's not close.
You go ask Joe Burrow what he wants, and he's going to tell you Penei Sewell.
Well, it's because, okay, here we go, Alex. We can go what happened last season, where he might get the ball off and get it close to the direction of Jamar Chase, or he can just have a lesser talented guy and be almost guaranteed to get that ball off. We all saw that graphic.
They have a good receiver room already. Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins are good.
If you have a guy to block for you, you can get to those guys all day.
Still.
Exactly. And, it's still Joey B, and that dude's a freak at quarterback. So,
yeah.
I'm going to sell this statement only because Trevor Lawrence, but it ain't...
It's gotta hurt, man. It's gotta hurt.
Oh, I don't like this, but let's move on. Keep on talking about Mac Jones. All right, here we go. Rumor is, breaking recently, that the Atlanta Falcons are looking to move back from their 4th spot, which is something I'm cool with. If you're not on the market for a quarterback, which apparently they're not right now for whatever reason, then if you're not on the market and you're top 5, move back. Unless you're the Bengals and you take Penei Sewell, like I already mentioned. So, the next statement is that the Detroit Lions will be trading up to the 4th overall pick from the Falcons, and they're going to be drafting a quarterback this year.
I am going to buy that statement because we just spent a podcast at multiple times discussing how bad Jared Goff is. And so Jared Goff is clearly not the guy. They have 2 extra first-round picks from the Rams, so they have the draft capital. And I don't think it's going to be that expensive. Maybe one of those first-round picks from the Rams to move up from that 7 to 4. It's not that huge of a jump. I think the Falcons are still going to be able to get one of I'm struggling. I think they might draft a receiver to replace Julio Jones.
I think they
might
go
Kyle
defense,
Pitts.
maybe with a linebacker or cornerback.
Yeah, but like they almost need to like drop down even more then. Because
if you're the Falcons, you can trade back and then trade back again.
I would try to.
I
do
think
that,
they'll be in the market for that. I think that
yeah,
goes down.
Yeah, I mean they do need a middle linebacker or a corner or maybe even a safety because Keanu Neal keeps getting hurt.
I want to buy this statement too, but it comes down if the Lions, we're assuming they get to the 4th pick, and we're assuming that. So we're going to be making some assumptions.
We're not assuming Mac Jones is getting drafted.
No. I'm saying we're just assuming Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, those guys are off the board. I'm not going to lock you into that because that'd just be too mean. That's cruel and unusual. But who are the Detroit Lions going to be trading this year, assuming this goes down? And why is it Trey Lance?
They've been linked to Trey Lance a lot. The problem is I love Trey Lance. I think he's...
you want with the Niners?
I really wanted to be with the Niners because I think Jimmy G starts for a year. Trey Lance gets the Mahomes treatment. And he comes out in 2022 after we didn't have this... We maybe did trade Jimmy G after he's had a good year. Maybe we sneak in with like a 10-7. You like that number? 10-7 record. And trade Jimmy G for a 2nd and a 5th round pick, or get him like a Sam Darnold return. Trey Lance steps in. I would love that. So I don't think it's Trey Lance. I think maybe Justin Fields. He went to school up in the north, and maybe that's an easier transition than any other thing. But I guess Trey Lance with North Dakota State too. So.
They're already built for that cold weather up there in the dome of Detroit, so I think it's fine.
I don't think it's going to be Mac Jones, I'll tell you that much.
I'll tell you that much. Yeah, I like Trey Lance here. He's a guy that's similar to that kind of Matt Stafford type, but with maybe a better arm.
Better arm and way more athletic.
And hopefully he doesn't get injured as much because, Matt Stafford, for the games he never missed and the plays he made, he got injured, but that also wasn't really his fault.
But he also played through a lot of injuries.
He played through everything. We all remember that legendary 4th quarter drive with no shoulder is what it was. But then, speaking about Trey Lance, let's talk about the last statement, and I am still on fire with these transitions, Alex. I'm going to tell you, the 5th and final statement for the show is that Trey Lance is a better quarterback than Zach Wilson.
Bing, 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 bing. We have a winner. I'm going to buy the statement. I love Trey Lance. I think
you're really sold on Trey Lance, aren't you?
I think he's got all the same arm talent that Zach Wilson does, save for like the off-balance throws, which I just don't think have a huge application in the NFL besides a couple throws, maybe like once or twice a game, which I'm not drafting a guy because he does things that maybe happen 2% of the time well. That just doesn't interest me. And I think so. He's got all the same arm talent on the deep throws, on the intermediate throws. They're equally went to a small school, but I think Trey Lance is just so much, so much more mobile and has a bigger frame already, and is not a skinny guy like I think Zach Wilson is. That I think he just, maybe he's not ready as soon as Zach Wilson is because he didn't start as many years. I think the ceiling on Trey Lance is just as high and even higher than Zach Wilson's, and his floor I think is higher because he does have that running ability, and you're always going to be able to get some sort of production out of a runner, and have that upside for if he's a passing, if his passing is anywhere equals what people project it as, he's going to be such a good quarterback in the NFL. And Zach Wilson just does not have that backbone of the running aspect to be able to have that same ceiling that Trey Lance does. So I'm going to buy that statement for sure.
I will push back on, I believe that Zach Wilson, in terms of the possibility of a first-year starter, He is a better guy in terms. If you want to bring someone, start him his first year, I think that's Zach Wilson.
No, I said that.
Yeah,
I said I think he's more NFL
but
ready.
I think Zach Wilson's floor is higher than what you get with Trey Lance. I just like what he brings to the table more.
I mean, are you talking first year or career?
I'm talking career. I like Zach Wilson. His floor, the ceiling, hands down, is going to go to Trey Lance.
Yeah. Okay.
And the thing that falls here is that here's a subtle flex here. I was able to be one of the first 1,000 people back in Albertson Stadium here at Boise State back when they were putting fans back in. And that was the game when BYU came in to BSU and absolutely murdered them, just like I said they would. I'm still going to pat myself on the back for that take, even though, Alex, I feel guilty because I was working for the campus paper at that time, and I said, hey, guys, BYU is going to roll Boise State, so I felt like a traitor, but, truth hurts.
It's journalistic integrity.
I am everything that is integrity.
Exactly.
And so just another thing I was writing about, which is nice. He passed the eye test. Zach Wilson looked great in that game. Of course, it was against a battered Boise State defense, but he still looked really good. He looked smart. Looked like he was making the right reads, making the right moves, being safe with the ball when throwing it away, maybe running, taking a few yards to the sideline when he needed to.
Yeah.
I like what they had there in BYU. I thought BYU was a bit of an underrated team until they went and lost to Northern Carolina in the bowl game. But let's not talk about that. Overall, is a career. I think Trey Lance is going to have the better career. But early on, Zach Wilson is the more NFL ready today product. So that is what might drive a team like the Jets to draft him over Trey Lance. But I think long term, I'm going to buy this. Trey Lance is going to have the better career than Zach Wilson, and he is the better quarterback ultimately. So see, we get to the same location at the end. I just took the roundabouts. You took the intersections. But
I do think that's why I think Zach Wilson's a great fit for the Jets, and I think Trey Lance is a great fit for the Niners because they need quarterbacks for different reasons and for different uses. And Trey Lance is going to benefit so much from learning under a year with Jimmy Garoppolo and Kyle Shanahan. And
I just feel bad that Zach Wilson's going to go from Provo, Utah, to New York to New Jersey. If we're being specific, he's going.
But he gets Robert Saleh, and I would run through a wall for that guy.
Oh, it's Robert Saleh. It's not Adam Gase. Zach Wilson.
No, he's not.
You're going to a good home with that. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it for us in this Week 8 breakdown of the NFL offseason. Let us know all your thoughts on this, whether it be like on the aforementioned Twitter, the Instagram, the YouTube comments, or you can leave a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts. And then please check out Thrive Fantasy. Easy, super fun, super interactive, and a great way to make some extra cash on the side, especially if you use our promo code 4th and Long. For the only way, you gotta get it. If you want the gains, if you want the sick effing pump, you do SCG Subs, scgsubs.com. Buy one, get one free right now. 2 really good tasting flavors. And honestly, one of the best parts, no chalky taste. No chalky taste. Nope. And so that was the best part about that. I was very surprised. I'm not even a caffeine drinker. I enjoyed the hell out of that. And a big thank you to our Patreon supporters for just $1 a month. You can become a member of this prestigious group and get access to all sorts of goodies. Go over to patreon.com/4thandlong to get started today and to check out all the good perks that you can get by being a member. Thank you to Ray Rodriguez, and for all your card collecting needs, go follow at The Big Back Box on Instagram. Shout out to Neil Wiley and his YouTube channel, Chosen Problems, and a huge thank you to Ryan and anyone else that would like to become a member today. But Alex, your thoughts in one word or phrase on Mac Jones?
He's going to look great in a different jersey.
There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we will catch you guys in the next one.